Good evening, everyone. I was going to dance then. So yeah, thank you for all coming tonight. Hello, everyone out there on the internet who is joining us as well. My name is Ross Fulton, and I co-chair the Gainsight Pulse Local chapter here in Vancouver, along with John and Jacinda, whoever over there. So yeah, great to be in a new venue. Big thanks to Thinkific for hosting us, and I think the topic today on the subject of really how to scale CS through video is a fantastic example of how this domain of customer success and its evolution as a strategy has really evolved into thinking around how we apply best practices from other domains into this very important concept of making our customers successful so we as businesses can retain them and expand them. And I know there's going to be a lot of good learnings today. Myself, I run a company called ValueWise, for those of you that don't know me, and we're a consulting company specializing in B2B SaaS companies and helping those companies sustainably grow through enabling them to optimize how they're driving adoption, retention, and expansion within their existing customers, both from a strategy perspective as well as how to operationalize those strategies in technology. And Thinkific is a valued friend of ours because of the work that they're doing with companies that we serve around how do they really streamline and optimize that education of customers through the medium of video. And part of that is really the design of that video, the design of the content, the design of the UX, if you like, of that content. And we're lucky enough to have Mark today, who's going to be speaking on that subject as his company are experts on that. So I'm going to hand over to Mark to kick off, and then Mark will hand over to Adam from Thinkific, VP of Sales, who will take us home. And we'll do a Q&A session at the end where all our speakers will be up here as a panel so you can grill them to your heart's content. But thanks again for coming, and I will hand over. Always have a backup.
So first of all, thank you very much to John, Jacinda, and Ross for having us. We're really excited to be here to share with you a little bit about what we are doing at Republic, but in addition with our partners at Thinkific and at HootSuite. So, good Lord. All right, so a little bit about us. So it's nice to meet you all. Please come and say hi afterwards. I'd love to talk to you more. My name is Mark. I'm the Director of Growth at Thinkific. Or, sorry. Interesting. Apparently you're a new colleague. I'm the Director of Growth at Republic Digital. And a little bit about us. So we were founded in 2010. We've been doing motion graphic and video for a very long time. And we've just recently undertaken sort of a refocus, in part because of some of the work that we've done with HootSuite, to really focus on building top-of-class educational video. We have been creating video for a long time. We've built hundreds of videos for dozens of clients. And yeah, educational video is really our focus. So that's a little bit about us. Now maybe I'll show you a little bit about what we do.
Retention, churn, customer health, product adoption, NPS. Software companies are obsessed with these metrics, and for good reason. A customer who struggles to use your product effectively will likely abandon it. Software companies are only successful when their customers are successful. At Republic Digital, helping your customers succeed is our primary focus. Republic Digital is a Vancouver-based video agency. We specialize in helping software companies educate and empower their customer base. We design video assets that support the customer journey from conversion through to we use to create videos that are engaging and educational. Collaborating closely with clients and using instructional design best practices, we research, craft, and produce assets that teach your customers whatever they need to know, whether that's simplifying complex workflows or empowering them to try something new. And because video content is completely scalable, it can reach a customer and prospect base of any size, whether that's 100 or 100 million. Our team has produced hundreds of videos for clients ranging from small startups to billion-dollar tech companies. Our content has already educated hundreds of thousands of people. So let's talk about how Republic Digital can help you help your customers.
So that's us. We discovered just before the talk that Google hasn't quite figured out how to embed video in slides presentations. So one of our sort of founding principles is that we all, as customer success professionals, are educators. And, of course, we can't do it alone, right? In many ways, the educational ecosystem requires people who are instructional designers, motion graphics experts, video producers, platform players, and a number of others. And as Republic Digital, we're here to fill in one of those pieces and help you build out the best education that you can to serve your customers. So one of the reasons that we sort of made this focused shift from sort of general video production to customer success focused production is that we noticed this transformation that customer success is becoming really the center of the SaaS organization. So as many of you probably have experienced, sales comes to you and says, hey, can you come sit in on the sales call and help me out? Help me educate my customer better so I can close this deal. Marketing, there's a new product, there's a new feature, and they want to help the customers who are existing customers understand this new product feature. Where do they go? They come to the customer success people, the people who have the most close connection with the customer. And if you're in a really sort of forward, proactive thinking organization, product comes to you because, of course, one of the really important pieces for product management generally is having a really solid voice of the customer. And I think in many ways, customer success knows that best. So we try to help solve two problems. One is scaling the effort and scale the sort of subject matter expertise that you have as customer success professionals. Video is one of the ways to do that. It doesn't eliminate the sort of personal need and the personal touch, but it's one of the ways that many of your customers who don't have time to schedule a call with you can sort of self-consume on their own. Ryan will talk a lot more about this when he talks about the HootSuite experience. And second, really providing a way of trying to demonstrate and improve the fiscal return on the money that you spend in educating your customers. So very often, what we have as customer success professionals is anecdotal or qualitative evidence. And as we can start correlating customers that consume educational video with customers that we retain, and customers that do not churn, and customers that are in better health, then we can actually start showing the direct impact of customer success on the bottom line of the business. So I didn't want to take too much of your time, so I'm going to hand off to Adam, who's going to talk a little bit about Thinkific. But please feel free to come and talk to me afterwards.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thinkific. Thanks for coming. Last time I was holding this mic was about 2 weeks ago at our company retreat doing karaoke, so I'll try and spare you all that. My name is Adam. I'm the VP of Sales here at Thinkific. I've been working in SaaS for just about 10 years, working with various different customer success teams. Now I'm in the position of dealing with lots of different organizations who are looking to help their customers succeed, which brings me to my presentation today. For those of you who don't know, Thinkific is a learning management system. We work with around 37,000 different companies worldwide who've created their academies and their schools on Thinkific. Really a place where your customers can come to learn throughout their customer journey. And today I'm going to be covering really three parts of it. I'm going to touch on the customer success kind of blueprint that we see a lot at Thinkific and how that pertains to education. We're going to be looking at some of the challenges that come with scalability as your organization grows, more customers come in. And then I'm going to give you 6 takeaways that you can hopefully leave today with that will enable you to begin taking the first steps to creating your own academy if, in fact, you already haven't. Okay, so just wanted to start with this definition of customer success, which I find is particularly relevant. The reason I like this one, customer success is when your customers achieve their desired outcome through interactions with your company. The reason I like this particular definition is really the 2 pieces that I've highlighted there. Desired outcomes. I think when people think about buying software or buying a product, it's often about, well, what's the ROI? Okay, is that the success? When really there's so many micro outcomes which all contribute to that overall goal or desired outcome. And secondly, the interactions with your company. Again, I think there's a lot of customer success managers in the room right now who think, okay, that person will look after churn, that person will look after LTV. Really, in my mind, customer success is an organizational prerogative and something that needs to be involved company-wide. So with that in mind, I wanted to think about, well, what does that blueprint look like and how does customer success fit into different parts of an organization? So the first I think about is pre-sale. This is where I come in. This is sales and marketing. And looking at kind of our objective, let's bring in the right type of customers, the right type of leads, and ultimately customers that are going to stick around. The second is what I would call customer success services. So this is where your CSM might come in. This is where your account manager, onboarding specialist, implementation, and this is they're really there to help your customers succeed. And then finally, we have customer support. Answering questions, being there to explain how to use different parts of the product and really your kind of first line of defense when it comes to customer inquiries. And so when we're looking at challenges, a lot of the challenges we see at scale can be broken down into these 3 areas as well. So when we think about pre-sale, are we bringing on customers who understand who we are, what we do, how our particular technology can actually help them? Or are we bringing on customers who maybe aren't sure they're in the right place, maybe from time to time? I've heard that salespeople can even oversell, not in my team. So yeah, I know obviously what happens with customers who don't have a full understanding is either they'll churn after a couple of months, and of course nobody wants that. Secondly, we have the customer success services. So when we're talking about one of the things that I've seen a lot is, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room who are account managers or CSMs find themselves becoming like personal trainers for their customers, and like not in a good way, not like helping them get to a better level of health, but kind of spending hours and hours and hours showing every little thing in the platform. And that's not scalable. And ultimately, when a customer becomes dependent on you, that's not scalable either. And often, when you eventually pull the plug on them, can result in churn. And then finally, customer support. I don't know if we have anyone customer support in here today, but answering the same questions over and over and over. I know this is something that we've had here at Thinkific recently. This is where the idea of a knowledge base comes from. But what if there's an opportunity to actually provide education which is going to address these things? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more. Ultimately, if you don't address them, you see your customer success support team spiraling, lots of different hires, and ultimately not an efficient way of dealing with some of these questions. So why does it matter? Well, it matters because of this graph. This was from Preact. It's a study that was done, I believe, 2 years ago, and it talks about the reasons for churn. So this kind of blew my mind when I was researching for this presentation. Less than 20% of the causes for churn are actually as a result of product. Just let that sink in for a minute. Less than 20%. So only 1 in 5 customers that actually leaves is leaving because of product deficiency. If you compare that with onboarding, relationships, overselling, that's actually 50% if you add those up. So half of your reasons for churn are things that are completely within your control, but completely out of the scope of your product. So what do? Well, the TSIA did a study last year about training, and they outlined that through training, education can become a competitive differentiator, that trained customers renew more, go figure, and that training increases self-sufficiency. So those people who are coming asking the simple questions, maybe if we train them, they won't ask the questions over and over and over. They might still do it, but we'll see. So obviously training is apparently, going to be an effective tool for your organization. So I guess all we need to do is just assign an individual trainer to every single customer that comes through the door and make them all personal trainers. No, obviously that's not going to work. We need a scalable way of training all of our customers. And we need to be able to train them in all the 3 areas that we talked about at the right stages. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Customer education is increasingly understood to be the antidote to churn. So how do we use education to create happy, successful customers at scale? I don't know why I put that in. I just really love that sloth. So education and pre-sales, finding the right customer. How are we going to make sure that we're finding the right types of customer at the right type of time? Lots of people have been talking about how education is now the best form of marketing. In the modern world, people want to be able to understand exactly what it is they're buying, and they want to understand the how and the why of what it is. I'm going to mention HootSuite here. Ryan's going to cover a lot of this later, but one of the things that we've seen is education can really give you the opportunity to own your niche or own your category. HubSpot did an incredible job of this with inbound marketing, and Hootsuite have done an incredible job of this in terms of social media management. So you can see there that the HootSuite Academy, I think they've been on Thinkific for 4 or 5 years. I'll let Ryan confirm. Over 400,000 students worldwide who are coming on, learning about social media and learning the why and learning about Hootsuite and the how. And they've also built an amazing certification program on there which gamifies the whole thing. So the incredible thing about that is if you think 400,000 people worldwide, every single one of them is going to be educated in social media and a potential prospect to actually use Hootsuite. So when they go on to be social media director in 5 years, guess who they're going to be looking at? Hootsuite have even done an amazing job of building a directory of certified professionals on top of their LMS, which I think is a really great idea as well, adding to that feeling of community, really owning social media and owning the community around social media. So when we think about education in pre-sales, map out your customer journey, ensure that every single stage of that journey, you're understanding who it is you're educating, what their role is, and how you can help them. Can't even read my own slides here. Influence belief patterns early. So follow the Hootsuite example, follow the HubSpot example, own your category through education. Share, there's so much information and so much content which is being pumped out regularly. You have the opportunity to do that in an education format. It's going to resonate. And help the buyer understand how they're going to succeed with your product. So you get them to a stage where they have a thorough understanding of the industry that you're working in. How do they actually use your product? How does it resonate? So these 3 things will help you build scalable processes around your pre-sale education. Second, next, customer onboarding. One size fits all, my butt. So the reason I put this in here is, like when I talked at the beginning about outcomes, you've got different outcomes for different people at different stages of their customer journey with your product. So through online education, one of the things that Thinkific's actually been able to do is we've created a series of different courses which we can bundle together to give a different learning experience for different users or different industries. So we have different courses that upon signing, they'll actually be automatically enrolled in, which can kind of take them through the process. And we can also, of course, on top of that, we can track who's taking the courses, who's completing them, who's becoming certified. So the onboarding process, which you may go and do an in-person training session, and you kind of walk away thinking, I nailed that, right? But you don't really have any quantitative proof that audience is actually resonated with. So what we've done at Thinkific is we've created lots of different courses around education of the product. We've made them video-based. We've made them 2-way interactions. We've put quizzes in there. So you can actually identify at every step of the way of your onboarding process exactly where the audience is and where your users are at. And it's a telltale sign, right? If you're 3 months into a customer life cycle and none of that customer's users have taken any of the courses or completed any of the certifications, then you've got to be wondering why. So education and customer onboarding. One-directional educational content is fantastic to a point, but really you need to know 2-way exactly what it is that they're doing and what they're achieving. Customers care about outcomes. So, as much as your product is fantastic and every single piece of it is, I'm sure, amazing, Customers don't want to know about every piece. You want to train them about outcomes and what they're going to be able to achieve with your product, because that's why they bought it. They didn't buy it because it has a widget. And yeah, think about measurability. What did the customer learn? Are you able to track it? Can you report on it? If you have 5,000 customers going through an implementation at the same time, can you see which ones are going to become your power users? Use the data. And then finally, education and customer support. So how can we look at bringing in education at scale into customer support? So you can see here from Alex over at Groove, they took all of their support, their customer questions, and put that into a support academy. Massively successful. Sendable here have done something very, very similar. They created an academy based around all of the customer queries that they were getting, and they've seen a huge decrease in the number of actual customer questions that they were getting in support tickets. So when we think about customer support, proactive courses based on your customer data. Listen to your customers. 80% of the questions can probably be answered by 20% of the courses that you put up. Make your academy the first place people go to ask questions. So rather than continuously just going to customer support with every little query they have, how about go and take a course in it and understand exactly how to use the product? And finally, repurpose customer education for onboarding new employees. This is something I know Ryan's going to touch on later, but you're creating all of this amazing content for your product. Why not share it with your employees? Why not look at how you can help your partners out as well? So repurpose that customer education as much as possible. Okay, so to summarize, when we're talking about pre-sale, let's catch our customers early, our prospects early. Let's educate them on how to use the product and why they should use it. For our customer success services, so our onboarding, our account management, let's make scalable processes that are not one size fits all, but also remove the need for human interaction in every single onboarding workflow, or at least allow you to dictate where you put humans into the process. And customer support, meet your customers where they are, provide proactive education on the things that are being asked the most. Okay, so final point, 6 takeaways to get you started. Map out your customer journey, number 1. If you haven't done it, go and do it. Understand the questions that are being asked throughout that journey, and look for ways in which you can answer them in a scalable, engaging way. And I would say that educational course content is a great way to do it. Listen to the customers and record the data. Don't create courses if there is no request for them and no demand for them. Go and create courses which are being asked multiple times by lots of different customers. Start with one course. Sounds obvious. You can overthink your education and your customer success strategy to a certain point, but ultimately, if a lot of questions are being asked, use that as your first example. Go and create an online course. Try it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it is perfect, then you've probably waited too long. Create courses around outcomes, not features. Think about what you want your customers to achieve. And then maybe it's one course, maybe it's 3 or 4 courses that you want to drip the content out to them. But yeah, think about the outcomes and think about why they bought your product in the first place. Think about what their role is in the organization and how you can educate them around that role. Create interesting content. Again, sounds very obvious. But as Mark was showing you there with all of the video content that Digital Republic put together, it has to be engaging, right? It has to be interesting. Put a different spin on it. Try something a little bit outside of the box. And then finally, find the right platform. There's probably about 8,000 LMSs, or at least that's what it feels like when I'm selling into them right now. Find one that's going to be able to get you up and running, low barrier to entry, customizable, allow for kind of nice white labeling. It is important because you can end up spending an absolute fortune, but be sat there 12 months later and not actually have anything implemented. And I'm sure 1 or 2 people in this room have probably experienced that in the past. Completely unrelated. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about Thinkific as an LMS, everyone here, we've offered a free 30-day enterprise trial of our platform. Go and see Brian over there or Paulie. They'll be sat up here at these high top desks. And looking forward to chatting with you all after this. Come and see me if you have any questions as well. And at that stage, I will hand it over to Ryan from HootSuite. Thank you.
the clicker?
You do. It's awesome.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for having me. My name is Ryan Chintzes, and I'm the manager of online education for HootSuite. And so I lead a team that creates what's called HootSuite Academy. Is everyone here familiar with what HootSuite does? Yeah? Social media management platform? Okay, cool. So, what does HootSuite Academy do? If we do nothing else, we are focused on delivering education and customer success at scale. So we've had some good success over the past, I think it's like three and a half years since we launched HootSuite Academy. It's gone through various iterations over the years, but right now we're averaging about 4 million views a year. We're in 1,000 universities being used for courses. It says 300,000, but that's actually 400,000 students enrolled. And we've certified 55,000 people. And I think another stat is we have like 250,000 hours of content watched from people all around the world looking to up their social media skills. So at HootSuite Academy, we have two main goals. On the one hand, we are focused on educating people about our product. If we do nothing else, that's what we're focused on. HootSuite is a large, complicated, powerful product, and we need a lot of education to support our customers. So our flagship course is our HootSuite platform training. There's different iterations of it depending on what plan you have, if you're enterprise or a free plan. But essentially, it is an 80-video course covering every single feature and product of HootSuite. And we give this all away for free, both in HootSuite Academy, which is hosted on Thinkific, and also on YouTube. So in addition to the platform training, we also discovered that it doesn't do a lot of good to give someone a really powerful tool if they don't understand the underlying principles of how to use it, So what we did is we put together a bunch of additional training courses just on best practices and strategy for doing social media properly. And we give some of these away for free, we charge for others. And so this is the list of those courses that we have. I'd say the flagship one among this group is the social marketing course. It drives the majority of our traffic and our views. Social selling is also right up there because sales teams at organizations are so large. And then Foundations of Social Advocacy, that's basically social media etiquette for everyone in an organization. So in terms of delivering our content, so we have our library is about 300 videos in size, and we keep it continually up to date. So how are we getting those videos into the hands of our customers? First and foremost is HootSuite Academy, again, hosted on Thinkific. Next is our YouTube channel, which is a huge help for discoverability. We also put all of our videos in the help desk, and we also put them in the actual HootSuite product. So the videos are there when and where people need them. We also have an interesting offering for enterprise customers, where enterprise customers, they don't want to send their employees to third-party websites. And so they've come to us and they said, well, it'd be great if we could just take your education and deliver it in our own way. And so what we'll do is we'll take whatever course that they want, and we'll put their logo and branding on it, and we'll deliver it to them, and we call that a white label license, and they can deliver that to as many people as they want internally. So this has been a popular option for like large enterprise clients that have like tens of thousands of people that they need to train internally. So this is just an example of what a customized educational experience can look like for an enterprise customer. So part of my role at HootSuite is I'm sort of like a lead instructional designer. And so in order to create our courseware, we don't just like write scripts, and we're pretty methodical about the way we go about it. And so I use instructional design best practices. Specifically, I use the ADDIE model, which is it's probably like the most widely used instructional design model, and it stands for Analyze, Design, Develop, Implement, and Evaluate. So before we create any course or any video, the very first thing you have to do is you have to analyze the need. And so the way that I do that at HootSuite is I'll do subject matter expert interviews. So I'm talking to people in the product team, I'm talking to customer success, and I'm talking to customer support. Because you need to talk to these 3 groups to get a complete holistic picture of what the problem is that you need to address. If you just talk to product, you're going to get one set of concerns. If you just talk to customer support, you're going to get a lot of reactive concerns. So you need a holistic view. So that's where it all starts. Just tons and tons of interviews, dozens of interviews with different stakeholders around the company. And then we'll do our own research. Sometimes we'll look at like Forrester reports, et cetera. Then we identify the target audience so we know exactly who we're talking to, and so whenever we write a script, we have that target persona in mind. And we identify the pain points and the ultimate goals. So once we have that done, then we move on to the design the learning phase, which involves creating the high-level syllabus. So what are the main chapters or topic areas that we're going to cover, right? And we also come up with learning objectives. And sometimes we'll come up with like a content outline for each video. Once that's all done, then we go back and we do the subject matter expert interviews again, because we're validating at every single step of the process, because we're going to invest a lot of resources into creating this video content, and we want it to be right. We don't want people coming back to us and saying like, oh, you got this bit wrong in the video, and then we have to spend a week updating a video. So we need this stuff to be like top notch. So once that's done and everyone's feeling good, then we move on to developing the program, which is writing the video scripts, doing the storyboards, and then moving them into video production. And once the video production is done, another round of subject matter expert interviews. Because especially when you're screencasting the actual Hootsuite dashboard, for example, you want to make sure that you're showing the right things. And so it's important to get products input at that time. And then once that's all done and everyone's happy, then we implement it. We publish it on YouTube, we put it on HootSuite Academy, and then we wait and see what the reaction is going to be. And of course, an important phase is evaluating the performance. So how is the content that we're producing landing? How is it helping our customers? So we look at a few metrics with this. So video view count is obviously an important one. We also look at drop-off points with our videos. So in YouTube, you can analyze a certain video and you can see how much people have watched and where they drop off. So if someone's dropping off 40% of the way through, then that's a problem. And we've obviously done something wrong with the video. We want people watching it 80% or more of the way through. Course completion rate, so this is a big one for us. So if you have a course with 80 videos in it, we want to know how much of that course people are getting through. It's a pretty tremendous burden, to have someone sit there and watch 4 hours of courseware, and so we want to know how much of the course that people are completing, and if they're dropping off halfway through, then that's an issue and we need to solve that. Thankfully, we've had really good luck with course completion rate because we think a lot about ways that we can keep people progressing through our courses. And finally, exam pass-fail rate. So with all of our courses, you have the education component, but you also have a certification component because people want to get Hootsuite certified in social media marketing or Hootsuite certified as a social seller. And so we look at the exam pass-fail rate. So how many people are passing on their first attempt, right? And so we try and keep it about 80%. We want about 80% of people eventually passing. And afterwards, I'm happy to dive deeper into any of this stuff if anyone has any questions. And the result is engaging, beautiful video content. So a couple of quotes here from customer success managers. Customer success managers at Hootsuite really love the content because it makes their job easier. So if they're going to go in and do a training session in front of 30 people, they'll kind of pave the way with our content first. So that they're just kind of setting a foundation so they can go in and talk about more advanced topics. And also, when they're done their in-person training, they can have that video content left behind so people have it for reference. It's also useful for employees who may not have been there for the training, so new employees can just go and watch the training afterwards. Another reason why customer success really likes our content is that upsell is a much more efficient way to close business than is acquisition. And so our video content is a great way to help with the upsell. And the reason it helps with upsell is because our video content helps with retention. Because if a customer is consuming our content, they're going to be more successful. And if they're more successful, they're going to keep using the product and they're going to be more likely to renew. So this is sort of an undesirable state. So at the evaluation phase, everyone's really excited, kind of drops off, and then you have the onboarding phase. Maybe you have some in-person training, and then things drop off as the year goes on. And then renewal time comes, and the renewals aren't what you want them to be. That's a undesirable state. The state that we want is this. Up and to the right, leading into high renewal rates. And so our view is that our educational videos help with this phase. So after the initial training, those on-demand support resources exist whenever people need them to solve whatever problem they need. We've also found that our video content reduces churn and boosts NPS. So we've demonstrated that customers who consume HootSuite Academy content have 8% less churn. And we've also demonstrated that HootSuite customers who consume Academy content have a 150% higher NPS. One of the things I was really surprised about when we were making all of our content is just all the different uses around the company that this video content was going to have. Like, just it's getting picked up and used in ways that I just didn't anticipate. So, for example, customer support started embedding our videos in all of their help desk articles, and that drives a huge amount of traffic for us. The videos end up in landing pages because, as it turns out, education is actually a more effective marketing tool than marketing collaterals in a lot of ways. CSMs love it. It gets used in the sales process. You know, what better way to teach a customer about the tool you're selling than to show them a how-to video on how exactly the product works? HootSuite partners and resellers. So HootSuite works with third parties that sell HootSuite on our behalf. So we provide them with the educational content so they know how to sell it. It's also used in product. So if you're using a specific feature, sometimes the video will be embedded to support that specific product area. It's used for onboarding new HootSuite employees. It's used by the email team to embed our videos within emails. And it's used in the blog as well. So what the blog team has found is that when they embed high quality video content in blog articles, it actually performs better from an SEO perspective. And that is that. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you to Mark and Adam and Ryan. Another round of applause for the collective team. So we're just going to open it up, I think, to some general questions. I will play runner with the mic if anyone needs a mic. First volunteer. Perfect.
Just a question for Ryan. So you guys are doing a lot of videos, and you're talking about how you're putting a lot of effort into coming up with a unique script and a unique process for each one, but I would imagine there's also a lot of repetition in the production process, doing all that screen capturing, and then you're getting into the white labeling where you're kind of repurposing. Have you guys found ways to automate that process in terms of your production?
Yeah, so with the white labeling, we definitely have. So we can take an 80-video course and we can put a client's logo and colors on it, basically in a morning, because we have a process for getting that down. Video content a little bit less so, because really every single video is different. You know, even with product videos, we're screencasting different areas of the dashboard, and so there's really not, like, in terms of each video that we're doing, there's not as much overlap as you might think. The white labeling business, yeah, that definitely gets faster.
Next question.
Well, hi, Ryan. Do you find what's the different purpose serves with YouTube versus Thinkific hosting the videos?
So one of the things it's really great for is CSMs love it because they can basically sniper shoot a video at a client who's having a very specific problem, right? So if a client is struggling with a bulk uploader feature, which can be, they can take that video and they can send it right to the client, and then they can solve that. Whereas the Thinkific platform is more of a course-based experience. You know, so you're gonna watch an educational experience from beginning to end, take a certification exam, and get your certificate, right? Another reason that YouTube is useful is it's good for SEO, and so it helps direct traffic to HootSuite Academy, to the HootSuite blog, and to HootSuite plans and pricing pages.
Hi. So on your graph, you had a big gap between onboarding and renewal, but you also said that you track course completions. And so I'm wondering, that might look at a course drop-off and then proactively reach out to the person and say, hey, I saw that you were taking this course. How you doing with it? Did you complete it?
Yeah, that's just need the mic so the remote can hear. Oh, okay. That's actually a really good question, and that's something that we're kind of grappling with right now. And so we're looking at various integrations that we can set up with Thinkific. So for example, with Salesforce. And so a CSM can go in and look at an important client, and if they see that they've only got halfway through the course, then they can reach out and say like, oh, are you having some trouble getting through the course? So yeah, that's definitely like on our wish list for 2019. But that is a great use for the platform. Yep.
I can add a little bit to that as well, because we're currently in the process of scoping what a Salesforce integration would look like. And so course completion is definitely part of it. Number of enrollments in different courses at a specific time is also part of it. If there's been, and you know, if you're seeing a specific kind of drop-off, and if you have a very consistent set of enrollments over a period of time, but then you see a drop-off, then maybe that's an indicator of churn. Alternatively, if you're looking at a customer and you're seeing high number of enrollments, high number of course completions, that's a great candidate to give a call potentially for an upsell opportunity as well.
Next question, anyone willing to shout? Should be a guy at the back.
Yeah, thank you. It's just a segue into the Salesforce integration. I was wondering, how do you see the use of video to basically promote engagement, customer engagement, using Salesforce or Gainsight to drive it? So in my case, as example, we try to increase the engagement of different type of actors. So there might be like different with the different companies. Just wondering what any of the three could talk about that.
So let me just kind of rephrase the question. So you were asking based on video kind of engagement in terms of like some of the data that could be passed into Salesforce and maybe looking at specific roles or specific engagement based on video consumption?
Or using video specifically to drive engagement.
Using video specifically to drive engagement of the product. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to get your take on this guys as well. So we've been looking a lot at that in terms of, so we can see, you know, course completion, lesson completion. So we can see if there's a video lesson within our platform, we can see exactly how long people have watched it for. We work with Wistia to host our content. Alternatively, to Ryan's point, you can embed your YouTube into an actual course as well, and you can see how that's completing. We haven't initially scoped the video engagement as passing that data through to Salesforce. But it's definitely something we could look at doing, maybe as a V2. Yeah, I don't know whether.
Yeah, I think that covers it for me as well.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, this question's for Ryan. Thank you for walking us through how you've been using creating instructional design videos to increase engagement within your customers. So my question is to do with how do you convince customers to spend so much of their time to invest in the courses, because like having worked as a customer success manager myself, it's really hard to get customer to spend time with you, let alone like hours and hours of like investing in the time. So how have you done that?
So one of the carrots that we use is the existence of our HootSuite certified professionals. So you show the directory. So this is one of the things that we use. So if you invest the time and you sit there for 2.5 hours, you watch the videos, you take the test, you get a certificate. And some people are very credential driven, and so they want that so they can add it to LinkedIn and boost their skill set. Some people are intrinsically motivated, where they just want to do better at their job, and so they want to learn the tool. I mean, not everyone is going to be motivated, but yeah, a good chunk of people are motivated. And so for that group of people who is motivated to do it, we want to make the best course experience possible to set them up for success.
The other thing we've seen very successful is incremental milestones in courses. So if you have a if you have a 2-hour course, then you might want to think about separating that into 5 different levels that, so the student can almost level up as they're going through, maybe even have 5 different levels of certification. Micro-learning is definitely key. You probably noticed there was a percentage bar in one of the slides I showed there, so every lesson you complete, you get a little bit closer to the end. So we're always looking for ways you can gamify it. Some customers, what they've actually done, if they have 100 users on a platform, they actually have a leadership table to show who's taken the most courses, who has the most certifications, kind of a little bit like the directory, but this is way more kind of competitive driven. So yeah, really gamification is key.
Any more questions? We have a few minutes.
Just one more point about that. So thinking about that group of people who aren't going to be motivated to sit down and do the entire course, one of the things we did with our YouTube channel is we take all of our videos and we put them into playlists that make a lot of sense. So it's kind of playlist by product. So if a customer, they just want to know, for example, about HootSuite ads, we can just send them a playlist with 10 videos covering exactly what they need. So that kind of reduces the time and cognitive burden on them. Yep.
So for Adam, what type of customer do you find have the highest kind of engagement, and where do you think you're kind of heading towards in your future products as well?
What kind of customer has the highest engagement? It's really difficult to say. We have about 8 million students learning from everything from social media to colored weaving or how to fly a drone. So the answer is kind of more focused on, it just depends on the content that you're trying to educate, right? If somebody's interested in something, ultimately they're interested in it and they want to learn it. There'll be different motivations, whether you're looking to do better at your job, whether you're looking to kind of, further your career. I guess it depends on how motivated they are. We can certainly, put a lot of carrots in front of them to really, if they have that initial interest, to really drive through and ensure that they will complete learning experiences and courses. But ultimately, if they're not interested, and no level of content is gonna get them engaged.
In your certification, how do you actually quantify the quality of the person who's become certified? I'm assuming that it's an open book quizzes and such that you have, and multiple choice or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you have any kind of control that you exert on that?
Sure do. That's something I think a lot about. So one of the tools we use, number one, is we limit the amount of time that you can take to complete the exam. Like no more than a minute per question, because if you get longer than that, you can start Googling things, so you gotta make it snappy. Another thing we do is we have a triple layer of randomization for the exam. So the answers within a question, they randomize each time an exam gets taken. The order of the questions also get randomized each time an exam gets taken. And there's one more level that's escaping me right now. So no two exams are ever alike, but all exams are of equivalent difficulty. And so that's one of the tools that we use to maintain the integrity of the exam. Yep.
My question's for Mark. So one of the things Ryan talked about was how the videos are used by many different departments: sales, marketing, customer success. I was curious, when your team is helping a company design videos, do you kind of design them with a specific purpose or a specific department in mind, or you try to make them kind of something that would be appealing and useful for everyone, or is it just kind of case by case? I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit.
Sure, yeah, so it's absolutely case by case. So the first step in any sort of engagement is a needs assessment. So we really need, as an organization, to understand what your problems are and the kinds of things that your customers are coming to you with. And in some cases, video is really not the right option. So like that is one of the outcomes of the needs assessment, and that has happened. I think that trying to, if there is openness and readiness and the product is of a sort that injecting video into certain components of it would be helpful, then absolutely we can design for that. Really what that has impact on is sort of the size and the scale of the video. So if you want to introduce a particular feature and attach that to a particular part of the product, then the video needs to be much shorter, right? If you are doing something like, Ryan is at HootSuite helping someone understand social media marketing strategy or social media etiquette, then those are bigger courses that you should probably still break into chunks. So it's really a result of the needs assessment. I wish I could tell you some things like nice encapsulated, but yeah.
To wrap it up there, again, big thank you to Adam, Mark, and Ryan for their time. Definitely recommend going to, I'm not sure this is on anymore, going to Thinkific.com. They have some great content, unsurprisingly, that is very educational about the whole subject. So certainly encourage anyone who wants to dig into this topic further. But we'll close this down. Say thank you to everyone online for joining us, and we will here drink some more beer, eat some more pizza, and have some networking. And I think we have this space till 8:30. If anyone wants to hang out for a bit. But otherwise, thank you all for coming. We will be back for another meetup late May after the various events, including Gainsight's Pulse event. If any of you are going, week commencing May 20th. If you are there, we'll see you there. If not, we'll see you soon.